In the depths of the forest, all surveillance cameras had been destroyed. Who is manipulating from the shadows? 12 Mercy Cedric POV. This one has been tampered with. Damn it. Savannah groans out in annoyance as she fiddles with the object in question. She tries to delicately take the camera from the tree, but it's stuck. She finally just rips it free of the wood and tosses it to the ground with a thump. I stand on the sidelines with my hands shoved in my pockets as I rather impatiently wait for her to be done with this. Not that it will make the time go by any faster, but I'm too wild up to be stuck out here in the first place. At least being in my classroom will somehow convince me it's almost time to meet with my mate again. It's funny how decades of my life can pass me by like a blink, but a few hours of waiting seem like an eternity. It's all 𝐿𝐸𝐻𝐿 fault. My beta has dragged me out into the forest for the second time, and I still don't know why I have to be here for this. Again, it's a pointless effort, and I can't help but feel as if she's purposefully trying to waste my precious time. She doesn't seem concerned about the cameras being broken. I would think it would anger her, as most things tend to do, but she just shrugs her shoulders nonchalantly. Sadness being quite somber today, and I don't know how long it's been going on, and I still don't know why. It's hard to pay attention to anything when Hendrix is all that I think about. Immerse to get to her. The sight of her alone calms the darkest parts of my soul. I almost feel normal when I'm around her. If that's even possible. Is that all the cameras? They're all broken. My voice holding a hint of the strain I'm experiencing behind closed doors. I don't care for conversation now. Or ever really. But Savannah is acting off right now. I need something to reassure myself that my bait hasn't completely lost her mind. She furrows her black eyebrows as she stares down at the spike cameras strewn across the forest floor between her feet. I'm not too worried. They won't suspect anything. The news of wolves in the woods would cause anyone to put up surveillance. She explains, kicking the autumn leaves with her black boot and huffing a dramatic sigh. She puts her hands on her hips. And you're not freaking out about it? I ask dubiously. Savannah shakes her head. This definitely isn't normal for her. Maybe she's just tired. I can't claim to understand females. They are confusing if nothing else. They're always changing their moods. I can only hope that my inexperience won't harm my relationship with my mate. The human species is strange, but females take it to a whole new level. My mate just happens to be both. I didn't know if it would work in the first place. She admits, and I shake my head. It's better to distract myself with this conversation than be anxiously waiting to see Hendrix in a few hours. I want to pace back and forth instead of standing so still like this. And yet, we wasted time and money with this. I gesture to the cameras with a glare. Savannah purses her lips in amusement, shaking her head. Yeah, like you don't have enough of those things in the first place. I close my mouth, because she's not wrong, and I don't feel like arguing with her, or talking to her. Savannah gathers the cameras, keeping busy with the mess while she continues to glance at me. She arrests for a moment, crouched on her feet while her light eyes run over me. My second in command is looking me up and down, and I don't like how observant she's being. What's your deal? She wonders out loud. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I don't respond because it's really none of her business, but my stubborn friend continues to press me for information. You look constipated. I glare at her words, knowing full well that she's trying to rile me up. It's not going to work. Not this time, because for once I actually have something to look forward to. I'm tutoring my mate today. I inform her, holding my scowl in place to show her my disapproval of this conversation. It's not amusing to me when my beta tries to interrogate me for information. I'm the one in charge, not her, and sometimes she forgets that. She needs to remember her place. Her face falls slightly, all traces of humor vanishing. A sudden look of vulnerability comes over her before she rushes to cover it up with narrowed eyes and a smirk. How strange. She really must be your mate if you're acting like this. You never act like this. She tells me over her shoulder as she returns to pick up the cameras and shove them into her bag with little to no regard. They are broken, after all, I suppose. Acting like what? 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐞𝐫𝐬. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐼𝐸. I ask in mild frustration. Savannah turns to glance at me with a sad smile that I don't quite understand. Isn't it obvious? You're holding your breath. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐞𝐫𝐬. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐼𝐸. Hendrix POV. I fiddle with my pencil restlessly as I flick my gaze over to Cedric for the 100th time. I've only been sitting here for 10 minutes and I still can't focus on a single thing except for him and his stupidly beautiful face. Why does he have to be so handsome? Can't he see I'm trying to be a good pupil and learn my stuff? He brought a stack of old books. Much to my chagrin, I've never been much of a reader. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐞𝐫𝐬. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐼𝐸. I've ED unrequired reading for school and all that. Somehow I forced myself through those. Reading for fun. Never my thing. I've been too busy memorizing every word in every song by Prince to do that. I'm sure you like this one. Most young girls do. He holds out a copy of Pride and Prejudice with a sly grin that always makes me a bit lightheaded. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. As I continue to chant in my head, I take the brick-sized book, looking down at it dubiously before shifting my attention to my professor who stands in front of my desk like a rugged biker whose leather jacket and dark jeans. This is a romance novel. Right. How can a book about romance change literature as a whole? I ask him, because I would honestly like to know. It makes no sense to me, but I can't say I know much about literature. He chuckles a little bit at my tone, and shakes his head like HES talking to a toddler. Well, it was revolutionary at the time for a woman to be successful at writing. Or anything at that. It was quite the scandal. Many men disapproved of her novels being read by their women because it encouraged women's rights and the idea of free thinking of the female mind. It was still successful, and remains famous till this day. He gestures at the maroon book with his large hand and I glance down at the thing with a grimace. Even the title on the cover looks old-fashioned. It's in swirling gold-lettered cursive. The ink glitters from the overhead lights and eyesight. It's a bit too big for my liking. That's a lot of pages. You talk about it like you were there. I joke, hoping to diffuse the embarrassment I feel. But Cedric doesn't laugh. I nervously look back up at him to see him smiling at me. It's kind of unnerving. 𝐻𝐈 acting like he knows something that I don't. Which I'm sure he does know a lot that I don't. 𝐻𝐈's older and smarter. And just better overall in every single way imaginable. I scratch the back of my neck at the thought before observing Cedric with a more speculative eye. And from the slight wrinkling around his face to his eyes brimming with wisdom, it's not hard to tell 𝐻𝐈's quite a bit older than I am. I curse myself for the crush I've already formed on my teacher. Even going into this I knew that I was in danger of having my heart stolen and shattered. But I'm already becoming infatuated with him. And I didn't even want it. It just happened. As if it would actually work out between us. I could be expelled and he could get fired. Not to mention why would he want me anyway? A girl almost half his age with crazy hair and trust issues. That sounds appealing. That's for sure. 𝐻𝐈 probably rather date any other girl on campus than me. I'm not much to look at. And I'm not very smart either. I remember when Cedric asked me if I wanted him to tutor me, and I agreed thinking it was deeper than it actually is. I thought he liked me. How pathetic is that? 𝐻𝐈's just being nice and... Hendrix. Hello. My hand waves down in front of my face and I startle. My knees banging against the bottom of the desk with a sickening thump. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐞𝐫𝐬. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. I cry, rubbing at my kneecaps that are already aching in protest. Are you all right? The gruff voice comes from right beside me, and I turn to see that Cedric is on his knees beside me, inspecting my knees already with crunched up eyebrows and a firm-set jaw. when his hands brush up my calf and over my knees. I grow self-conscious. I haven't shaved since yesterday. I wonder if my prickly legs are noticeable. He doesn't seem to notice, or care for that matter. Goosebumps break out across my tense skin at the warm sensation that his touch always causes. I take a shaky breath. I like him touching me. I shouldn't like it, but I do. I really do. It will probably leave a bruise, Cedric states, and when I look at him, he is glaring down at my kneecaps with an intense glare. Why is he so upset? I'm the one who got hurt, not him. Oh, that's all right. I reckon he'll get over it. I am a tough girl after all, I inform him, nervously rubbing at the sore area while his large hands continue to hold my legs in place. But something about his gentle grip is changing. His grasp is getting tighter, his strong fingers slowly curling into my skin until I gasp in pain. Cedric, stop. Stop it, I tell him, trying to wriggle out of his hold in discomfort. It's not unbearable, but it definitely doesn't feel good. You're hurting me. In a moment, the hands are gone and my professor is panting as he rocks back on his heels. He holds out his hands, his palms towards his face, to stare in horror at them before glancing at my legs that they once held only seconds ago. 𝐿𝐤𝐧𝐠 sorrowful, his face brimming with regret and turmoil. 𝐿𝐤𝐧𝐠 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐞𝐵𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm just, sensitive is all. I'm sure you didn't mean anything by it. I comfort him, but when I reach out for him he backs away before standing up onto feet in a swift motion and taking a few steps back. I'm very sorry, Hendrix. I don't know what came over me. He shakes his head, rubbing at the side of his face in frustration. His rough voice is trembling. I need to be more careful. Damn it, he angrily murmurs to himself. 𝐿𝐤𝐧𝐠 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐞𝐝, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. There's just a tense silence while he stands there. Cedric won't look at me, and his hands are clenched at his side. Before I can stop myself, I'm out of my chair and walking towards him. I tentatively go up to him. Even though I have no explanation, somehow I can palpably feel his self-hatred. The emotions he has pent up inside beat at me like a sore thumb, begging to be healed. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I just follow my natural instinct. Slowly, I wrap my arms around his waist and lean into his chest. My whole body is tense when I first make contact. This is kind of risky. It's a big move. I don't even have a clue what he'll do in retaliation to this. He freezes also. His body is stiff, and I wonder if I've made a mistake. He stands as straight as a board. Cedric probably thinks I'm a silly little girl. I nearly groan at the thought. I am small, a lot smaller than him too. Compared to his massive height, I barely exist. So much for making the situation better. Before I can pull away and apologize, arms of steel wind around my back and I'm being pulled to him. Cedric is hugging me back. Actually hugging me back. I relax against his chest, finally letting myself go slack in his embrace. The warm tingles are everywhere now. I love those things. When we touch, I feel like I'm some sort of giddy schoolgirl. Oh wait, that's exactly what I am. After a few wonderful minutes of connection, Cedric leans back so he can look down at me. His dark eyes still don't seem to fit his face well at all. I wonder why that is. Maybe I'm just crazy. His fingertips touch my chin so he can look closer at my face with his searching gaze. I can't help but exhale in wonder at the rugged beauty of his face. Even with those scars, they just add to his handsome appearance. And that dark stubble. I can't get enough. It's as if I could look at him all day. We better get back to work, or I might be tempted to do other things, Cedric tells me, and I immediately glance at his lips. In this moment, I wish we could do anything but talk about stupid love stories, and then we could just get started on our own. 13 Our glass Hendrix POV. The sound of 3-car doors slamming is music to my ears as I look around the dark night sky speckled with glistening stars that smile down at me. Tonight is a good night. It's my night. It's been a while since I've gone out and done something fun with my friends. Because that party certainly did not count. This is going to be so much fun. There aren't any other bitches I'd rather go roller skating with, Stacy says as she marches between Miranda as we walk to the glass doors together. I can finally breathe easy knowing I don't have to go into work today. After what feels like an eternity, I have a day off of school and my job in one perfect afternoon of bliss. Unfortunately, I somehow regret that it's not Tuesday or Thursday, so I can't watch Cedric from the audience with joyful eyes. We agreed to have tutoring on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That means I get to see him every single weekday. But now it's Saturday. I woke up excited and pumped for a day with my best friends, but also brimming with gloom that I can't sit today. How messed up is that? I hardly even know the guy. What are you so busy thinking about in that pretty little head of yours? Henny. I look up in a daze, my eyes landing on Stacy as her fingers drum methodically against the counter. Miranda checks us in, paying for our entry fee while we stand around waiting. I shrug innocently, a coy look on my face. Bet you wish you could read minds right about now, huh? My friend narrows her eyes at me and smirks triumphantly as a new comeback pops out. How did you know I was studying black magic in my room secretly? One of these days they'll be able to know every thought that you hide away from me. I laugh her comments off as Miranda rolls her eyes at us, ushering us inside. I swallow, trying to control my head from straying to Cedric for the millionth time. I should be enjoying a day with my friends. I shouldn't be dwelling on my hopeless crush. This event is the crescendo of our full-day shenanigans. We started by sleeping in until 100, then going to IHOP for mountains of pancakes that I still haven't quite recovered from. The sugar pumps through my veins with a vengeance. It keeps me going when we strut into the next place like we own it. 𝐿𝐸𝐧𝐷 at Miranda and Stacy as we get our skates. He doesn't even look at me. Not that I want him to, and I don't blame him. My two friends are much more beautiful and captivating than I am. I've always been self-conscious around them. I just have to accept that I'm the ugly friend. Except I'm not ugly. Not really. But with the supermodel level beauties at your side, it's not exactly easy to be confident. Sinking into a fuzzy, ATS printed bench, I shove my feet into a pair of pastel blue roller skates that have definitely seen better days. I try not to contemplate the amount of feet these babies have seen in their time. They look ancient, and smell even worse. The one whiff of sweat I get is enough to make me regret this decision. Before I know it, I'm being pulled out onto the shiny wood floors that squeak under us as we roll around. The old pop music booms all around on big speakers, and Stacy weaves an hour between people like the daredevil she is. A few people call out in outrage at her recklessness, but she doesn't seem to mind. The girl does her own thing. She spins and rolls like she was born on a roller rink. What a show-off. Miranda shakes her head as we skate side by side at a moderate pace like the normal people that we are. We both stare ahead at our feisty friend, rolling our eyes. Even though Stacy causes a scene wherever we go, we're pretty much used to it by now. I haven't felt embarrassed by her in years. We laugh and twirl around. For a few moments I feel without abandon. I'm with my friends beneath a stream of fluorescent-colored lights. The humidity and the spinning of bodies puts me in a happy haze that I don't want to escape. For a few seconds I actually don't think of Cedric, but it's short-lived. By the time we're ready to take a snack break, my feet are aching and the idea of a drink is all too appealing to pass up. I decide to forgo my skates on the side of the rink. A couple of kids skate past, and I admire how cute they are in their little roller skates and safety helmet. Stacy grabs my arm and has to drag me to the concessions before I forget that they're there. What can I say? I get distracted easily. It bothers my friends to no end. Stacy's overly rambunctious, indistractable, and Miranda is as 𝐊𝐸𝐺𝐻 as a second mother. We make a great group. We all have to accept each other's flaws because we love each other. Stacy spends an eternity trying to figure out what she wants to order, so I go first. I carefully scan the menu. 𝐶𝐮𝐬𝐩𝐵 glancing at my wallet and biting my lip in concentration, and trying to do the mental math of how much I can afford tonight. Miranda already paid for my lunch and my ticket. I can't expect her to do it again, even though I know she would. I reluctantly order a small drink and a pretzel, and when the woman behind the counter tells me how much my total is, I panic internally. As I dig through my change pocket, I hardly notice how quiet my friends have suddenly become as a large shadow swallows me up. They'll take care of it. The rumbling voice above me has me glancing up in recognition. Cedric 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐼 figure blocks out my friends completely. 𝐊𝐢𝐳 looking dangerous with a disgruntled glare on his face. He slips a shiny card out of his leather wallet, and I'm quick to shake my head. No, Cedric. You can't just pay for my stuff. I try to tell him, still shocked that 𝐊𝐲's here in front of me. He considers this for a moment, a look of contemplation crossing his handsome features before he shrugs his wide shoulders. You're right, he admits, turning to the now very flustered girl behind the counter. Shall have a large drink. Handing his card over. My friends aren't making a noise at my side, which is sort of odd. They just stare in utter silence. I wonder why that is. Stacy always has something to say. Except for now, I suppose. It is kind of a weird situation. Even though I'm a little bit embarrassed by him paying for my food, I'm also thankful. I don't know if I would have been able to scrounge up enough money to pay by myself. Dang it. He probably thinks I'm a useless child who can't provide for herself. Why does he always have to catch me with my pants down? This is humiliating. I put my wallet back in my purse in shame. Thank you, I murmur, taking the food and drink from his hands reluctantly, hoping my palms aren't noticeably sweaty when our fingers brush. I can feel my cheeks burning as I stare up at him through my lashes. He drapes a heavy arm over my shoulder and guides me away. You should probably sit down, Cedric tells me. 𝐊𝐲𝐻, sweet. 'Tis sweet. I guess somehow he can tell how faint I am after roller skating for a little too long. As soon as I'm sitting down, I'm gulping down my soda with a little too much enthusiasm. It's just now that I've noticed my friends trailed after us. Did they not order anything? For some reason, the fact that Miranda and Stacy are with me seems to annoy Cedric. He eyes them with disapproval. Especially Miranda. How strange. Miranda sits close to me, on the very edge of her chair to plaster her side to mine. Our torsos firmly pressed together. She even goes so far as to link arms with me. Her eyes warily taking Cedric up and down. She bites her lip and worry. The girl is clearly concerned for whatever reason, and I have no idea what in the world is going on. I try to see it from her eyes for a moment while I sip at my soda and myself choking on it. My friends probably think 𝐾𝐥𝐲 is some crusty guy trying to make a move on a younger girl. I'm quick to correct the mistake before Cedric can even sit down in the chair across from me. Stacy. Miranda. This is my professor, Cedric 𝐊𝐲𝐬. Cedric. These are my best friends. I wave a hand in the air, gesturing to my three friends all gathered together to meet for the first time, only to be met with silence. Even Stacy is quietly observing the professor with skeptical eyes. She's not smiling mischievously, cracking jokes, or snorting out a few giggles. Something just be wrong for her to be this somber. Her skin even looks paler than normal. Cedric is acting strange too. 𝐊𝐲𝐻 glaring at Miranda. If looks could kill, she'd be 6 feet under. The whole atmosphere is weird, like a showdown of sorts. But I can't stop myself from staring at Cedric. It's like the foreign dimensions clashing with me at the center of it all. My rugged professor in a dim, run-down roller rink that smells like feet. It doesn't feel right to me. Someone like him looks misplaced in these surroundings. And yet, he pulls it off so well. Even in unforgiving yellow lighting, he still manages to look good. It's just not fair. The stare-down continues to happen, and I glance back and forth between the two opposite sides of the little table. My friends are sinking into their chairs. Stacy even goes so far as to bend her head so her neck is exposed while she looks at the ground. It's almost like they're submitting, like animals. It's a crazy thing to witness. From Miranda's bleeding eyes to Stacy's stillness. It's all freaking me out. Are they scared of him? 𝐿𝐲 not scary. I look at his rough scars and stern mouth and question myself. Maybe they don't get all warm and fuzzy when they see him like I do. I've never thought of it before. But Cedric does seem a little bit intimidating. But that's not the best word to describe him. I'm not scared of him. If anything, I'm drawn to him like nothing else. Cedric is staring at me and his arm that's wrapped tightly around me. His Adam's apple moves as he swallows. That dark jaw of his is clenched so tightly I can hear his teeth grinding together. Dark pupils flick to my face where they stick, and I fiddle with the hem of my dress anxiously. I'm waiting for him to say something. How are your legs faring? Are the bruises bad? His tone is light and airy, but somehow withheld. I can detect the concern and guilt, and I smile at it despite all the odd things happening around me. I just love hearing his voice. Oh, they'll be all right. Nothing I can't handle. Would 𝐼𝐸 got nothing on me? Okay. I sound like a babbling idiot. Probably because I am one. The bruises where he grabbed me are a lot worse than where I hit my knee on the desk. But I don't mention that. My friends would go psycho if they heard that he injured me. And Cedric would feel guilty. I bruise like a peach anyways. So it doesn't really matter. Before I can get another word out of 10, manicured hand drops down on Cedric's shoulder. When I suddenly glance up at the culprit, a pit forms in my stomach and doesn't leave. It's that woman, the rude one from the diner, the one that looks like a supermodel. She raises a perfect eyebrow at me and then at my comrades with a disdainful look. I see you've made some friends. She muses, her eyes stopping on Miranda for a few seconds, shaking her head. She speaks again in her arrogant voice. I leave you alone for 5 minutes and you run off. Why am I not surprised? Cedric fists his hands and growls low, his throat in warning. Wait a minute. Growl. Watch yourself. Savannah. At his terrifying tone, I sink down into my chair sheepishly. He knows this woman. This Savannah. She's beautiful. 𝐊𝐸𝐬𝐧𝐼𝐸 𝐷𝐞𝐝𝐬 𝐾𝐿𝐢𝐳𝐿𝐢 for your unfailing 𝐊𝐸𝐬𝐃𝐥𝐻𝐃𝐿 enthusiasm. Everything in not. Maybe they're together. I flinch at the idea. I dejectedly stare down at my plastic cup and unit and pretzel. This whole thing meant a lot more to me than it meant to him. In his charity cave, he has plenty of other choices, and Savannah is clearly a better fit for him. My sorrow is short-lived when a hand brushes mine, and I already know who it is before I can even look up. The warm tingles are enough to tell me that much. Cedric's face is splashed in barley-covered worry. He purses his lips. Hendrix. This is my old co-worker, Savannah. He introduces, tilting his head in her direction for a moment before returning his undivided attention on me. I can't say I don't appreciate it. Yeah. We've met before. Savannah crosses her skinny arms over her chest. A strange expression on her face that I can't understand. It's like she's waiting for something. Trying to tell me something. Cedric's hands squeeze mine. And then he lets go. He stands up and I want to call out to him because I miss the warmth of his touch. I quickly stop myself. This has been thrilling. They'll see you Monday. Hendrix. He informs me with a small smile, glancing in the direction of my friends with a bored look he doesn't want to stray away from me. It was nice meeting you both. Somehow, I don't believe him. I can tell 𝐿𝐸 is somehow stressed as his focus flicks from me to Miranda and back again. A grimace of control held firm. 𝐿𝐸 is reluctant to leave. He steps away and then hesitates. His jaws clench. Lips pursed. Savannah rolls her cream-colored eyes, batting her perfect black eyelashes. She'll be fine. Tough guy. 𝐿𝐸𝐬𝐴 𝐸𝐸𝐬𝐿𝐢 heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐸𝐬𝐧𝐼𝐸 enthusiasm. She look aggressive to you? She asks him while she steers him away, continuing to chatter his ear off. Then 𝐿𝐸's gone too soon, striding away quickly. When he disappears out of the building, it's like he was never even here. Nevertheless, I continue to stare at the doors with determination as if I can somehow make him reappear if I try hard enough. Jealousy is next. He left with her. Could she really just be an old co-worker? Especially looking like that? I doubt it. I've got nothing on her. Why should I even try if he has her around? Hendrix, Miranda says in a cold voice, waking me up from my trance of sorts. I completely forgot about my friends up until now. Well, that's embarrassing. She takes a deep breath through her nose. I don't want you hanging out with him anymore. Miranda looks angry. Actually angry. I'm shocked that she's being so hateful towards someone she doesn't even know. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 a great guy. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 really nice. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 giving me tutoring for a project that I needed help on. I insist, trying to change her mind. But she doesn't look very lenient. Her face is a mask of sheer ice. No, he may seem like it, but 𝐿𝐤𝐳 dangerous. Stay away from him. The order does not go over well. I stand up from my chair, shaking my head at her. Who does she think she is? No, you listen here. I am not a child that you can boss around. We're best friends, and I know that you are trying to watch out for me, but I like him a lot. I admit, shrugging my shoulders stupidly because I don't know what to do with my body when I'm telling someone off. I've never told my friends off before. I'm very confrontational. She's being serious. Hendrix, 𝐿𝐤𝐳 not someone you want to hang around. Stacy backs up Miranda, actually having the nerve to look shy. My eyes grow wide. What is going on here? Do you all know him? Why are you so insistent that I stay away from him? Because he drives a motorcycle? Or his scars? Are you that judgmental to assume 𝐿𝐤𝐳 is terrible because of how he looks from the outside? I demand, backing away from the table in disgust. I can't believe they could sink so low. I think 𝐿𝐤𝐳 is a grown-ass man trying to get into your pants even though you're barely legal. I don't trust him, Stacy explains, and I shake my head. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 is not like that. He hasn't tried anything, and if he did, I wouldn't fight it. But I don't tell them that. We're just friends. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐤𝐳. He probably just sees me as a little sister. I admit dejectedly, that last part is true. How could he see me as a day table woman? I'm a joke. Miranda stands as well, gripping her roller skates in her fisted hand by the laces. She jabs a finger at me as she towers above me like a frustrated parent. Fine, but you be careful. I don't trust him. She shakes her head as she turns away. And I really don't like this. Not one bit. I'm stuck trailing behind my friends as we make our way out of the now crowded drink. The amount of people packed into here is enough to drive me crazy. But I don't really care. Not right now. I'm too preoccupied thinking about Cedric, and how I'm going to survive his presence without breaking my own heart. For teen a little tenderness, Cedric POV humans do not make up the vast majority of the population. There is such a wide variety of supernatural creatures who hide in plain sight. Vampires, banshees, 𝐊𝐤𝐳 𝐷𝐞𝐿𝐤. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience and enthusiasm. Werewolf, there isn't much more. They're all over the place. Despite all of that, there are very few lichens roaming this planet, so you would think it would be a rarity to run into a fellow lichen. Or that I would know that there was one hanging around the same little town as my beta and I. But no, she completely slipped past my radar. The excuse of my mate distracting me isn't even valid, because she's friends with this lichen. Best friends. And that just makes the situation that much harder. As soon as I saw Hendrix standing beside that lichen, Miranda, I wanted to grab her and carry her out of there. There was a werewolf girl too. It's clear Hendrix knows nothing of their actual identities. She thinks they're human, and somehow she doesn't question it. Then again, she also believes that I'm human. But to be around a human for so long and not have a slip-up of some sort that gives the secret away, I know it would drive me crazy. They must be careful then. My head has been throbbing with the stress of the discovery, and I can't get it to go away. I go through my Monday classes without much effort. I decided to put on a movie rather than actually teach. Humans like those type of things anyway. And I'm not invested in teaching. It's just a cover. I don't care what's suitable. I don't really even think about it really. And my real job, finding the red alpha, hasn't been going very well at all. There are no leads. No evidence. The broken cameras are the only inkling we have of what we're dealing with. Even then, I don't necessarily believe that 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐾 is here. If it weren't for 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼's presence in my life, I would call the guard and have them let me off of this gig. In doing nothing, Savannah, however, is making some headway at least. Her cover is somewhat believable. She works as an electrician around town, trying to scout out the enemy in any way she can. My beta is smart, and she has many leads and suspects that she's keeping tabs on. I'm thankful for her commitment to this whole thing. She wants the red alpha, bad. I've hardly spoken to her in the last week since she's been so busy. Even though I want revenge for Wheeler's death, I want my mate more. It will not be beneficial anyway to get more involved in this mess. Not when I have a little human mate that is completely unaware of the danger she could be in merely by speaking to me. She has no idea the danger her own friend poses to her. I swallow a growl, glaring at a few students who give me weird looks, spinning my chair around to face the wall as the movie blares on. I'm engrossed in my own thoughts. Thankfully the film ends and the students file out in the dim lighting. I don't acknowledge them or even look at them. I'm too desperately lost in my own brain, banging at the walls that imprison me with my fists. Hendrix lives with a 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼. A 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼. I don't trust that. Someone with that kind of power in the same living space as my mate. My human. She's small, helpless, weak. She can't defend herself from a mere werewolf. Let alone a 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼. The 𝐿𝐢𝐴N female is young. Not even very strong for our kind either. And yet her presence threatens my sanity. I can't relax knowing she exists. And Hendrix is prancing around with her, completely unaware of the danger hanging over her. I don't like it. Any of it. Miranda seems fond of my mate, protective even, but it's still hard. Seeing her arm wrapped around what's mine has me wanting to snap. Make it known that she belongs to me. Hendrix is mine to take care of. No other 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼 will lay a hand on her as long as I can help it. This is all that's on my mind as I trudge through the day. I'm waiting very impatiently for my mate's arrival. This tutoring session is all I've had to look forward to over the dragging weekend from hell. That was until I followed her to the roller skating rink. I couldn't take it anymore. I despise missing even a day of interaction with her. So, I did what any sane person would do. I followed her, only to find that 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼 and a werewolf were with her. To my 𝐂𝐥𝐻𝐿𝐢𝐳 𝐊𝐢𝐳 𝐊𝐢𝐳 unfailing 𝐂𝐮𝐻𝐿𝐢𝐳. A werewolf and a human walk into a roller skating rink. It sounds like the start to some horrible joke. Once the classroom is empty once more, I stand and rush to the door to lock it quickly. I stare out the tiny glass window in the door around the hallway to make sure no one is nearby. I begin pacing. My eyes hungrily reach for the clock. The device sticks on the wall. It mocks me. There's still 2 hours until she's here. She could be doing anything with that time. She could be in another class. I pace left. She could be out in the dangers of the world. I pace right. She could be at home with her friends. The thought is too much. The growing anger is a raging inferno overtaking my sanity. It spreads like a wildfire, and I try for only a mere moment to hold it all in. Something in me wants to let the rage free. Hendrix and 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼. I snarl, grabbing the nearest thing that happens to be a wooden chair that recently held a student. I lift it and snap it in half. The crack does things to calm me down. That sound has a way of satisfying me, much like breaking bones. Under the radar, Savannah insists that I don't know what it means, and that I need to do my research. I reprimanded her. I'm tired of her damn superiority complex. I won't let her walk all over me. Not again. I've never liked it. But sometimes staying silent is my way of not hurting anyone. Control is what I called it. But I don't have any of that anymore. My will has been melted by a little human girl. The broken chair lays there in pieces and I glare at it, shaking my head in disbelief. Anger issues have never been a problem with me. And yet, I've felt emotions I've never felt, done things I've never done. Having a mate is a whole new ballgame. I'm just glad she hasn't seen me like this at all. I don't think that will be a problem. I never feel angry enough around her. Her presence soothes me, except for when she's in danger. The proof is right in front of my face. When she hit her knees on the table, I was angry. I held onto her legs with what I thought was a loose hold. It wasn't much pressure. To her it was too much. It was painful. I choke at the thought. I have to be more careful around her. Show tenderness. I don't know my own strength. And I don't want 𝐿𝐢𝐬𝐩𝐿 to pay the price for my recklessness. Every movement around her must be thought out. After countless seconds of pacing back and forth like a mindless idiot, someone tries to open the door to the classroom. Turning to the sound before a faint knock follows. One glance at the clock has me relaxing. It's 300. She's here. I nearly rip the door off of its hinges when I tear it open like a maniac. She stands there with wide eyes, clutching her backpack to her chest. I almost lose it when she backs away in her little Mary Jane shoes. Hendrix clears her throat, looking behind me into the classroom before returning her eyes to me. Is this a bad time? I can come back later. She points a thumb back where she came with a look of disappointment. I stand there silently for a moment, evaluating my facial expression to find that I'm glaring. I'm used to glaring. It's natural. I take a deep breath of her scent and let it fill me. She smiles back. A miracle, really. Her smile could light up a room. I stare at her beauty for a few seconds. All that waiting is worth it. It's always worth it. No. Come in. I've been waiting for you. I open the door wider, and she trustingly walks past me into the classroom. I watch her lay her stuff on a desk before I close the door, locking it ironly for good measure. I don't want anyone to interrupt us. I slowly walk to her, my hands in my dress pockets. Hendrix shoots me an inquisitive look over her shoulders. What's with the chair? I raise my eyebrows in question, and she tries not to laugh by pressing her full lips together. The broken chair. Darn. I forgot to hide the evidence. Oh, there. One of the students broke it. Must have been missing a screw or two. Inside I know that I'm the one missing screws. My brain is still going haywire. Hendrix nods, an amused look on her freckle-covered face. It's only now that I notice the scent of smoke and alcohol plastered to her orange skirt and her long hair. I don't like it. The stench clouds my mate's aroma. What have you been up to today? Trying to sound casual as I lean back on my desk with my arms folded across my chest. My little mate slides into a chair, resting her chin on her hands with her elbows on the desktop. I just got out of a band gig. It was at a bar. Usually we have gigs later, like at night. But they had a specific event they wanted us for. I'm still a little tired though. 3 hours of drumming does that to a person. She grins, shrugging her shoulders and looking up at me with a mischievous tilt to her head. She's staring at me, at my face. What about you? Been stuck in the office all day. To classes today. Some paperwork. The usual. I ramble, looking away when I realize I've mostly been pinning after her. Fun times. She muses. Then her eyes grow wide as she remembers something. I read your book. Hendrix informs me, proudly pulling the novel from her leather backpack and waving it in the air in triumph. I'm impressed. And she knows it. The first book she's read for pleasure and it only took a weekend. Did you enjoy it? I question her, leaning forward. She grips the book with both hands and stares down at the cover with a perplexed expression. I did actually, and I thought about what you said. For the time period, I guess there were a lot of moments of women's empowerment. I always thought Pride and Prejudice was just some silly romance novel. Well, it is a romance novel, but not all romance is shallow and silly. I explain, and she nods. Yeah. I enjoyed the love story. Are you happy now? She relents. sinking into her chair, waving her hands in the air with scrunched eyebrows. She doesn't know how adorable she is. How beautiful. How fantastic. What next? My mate asks me, tossing the book at me. I catch it, my reflexes taking over. I stare down at it. It's still warm from her hands. What do you mean? What next? I say out loud, almost to myself, still focused on the book in my grip. What book? What book do you want me to read next? She wonders. I look up at her and smile a little bit. I thought this might happen. What? Hendrix demands, sounding defensive, looking to the left then back at me. I don't like reading. 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐩𝐿 Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I just, want to get a good grade is all. Just playing it off. I nod, noticing the way she bounces her leg in irritation of being caught. Hendrix did enjoy the book after all. I can already tell she's a bit stubborn. Can't admit she's wrong. But not in an angry way. She seems more embarrassed than anything else. She doesn't want to admit it. But she likes reading. I'll make a reader of you after all. And she squints her eyes at me with suspicion. Her head is tilted to the side a little bit. Something she does automatically. I find it maddening. I doubt it. Hendrix replies, sighing and biting her lip. She drums her fingers absently on the desk. Just give me whatever book is your favorite. You know, one that changed literature forever, she says dramatically, feigning a breathless voice like Chess on Broadway. The corner of my mouth lifts as I stroll closer to her slowly. I track her every movement with my eyes. Why do you want my favorite? I inquire, feeling flirty when I watch her cheeks turn the prettiest shade of pink. She looks down as I get so close that I'm standing above her, rambling sensibly. Well, 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐻, know your stuff. I'm not trying to cheat or anything. I just, trust your judgment and all. And I want to hear see what you like. Kinda. I guess kinda. 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐻, interested in what your favorite book is. Her face is bright red at this point, strictly for research purposes. 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐻𝐿 Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I place my palms flat on the desk, tilting my weight forward. The scent of her is heady. It's beyond pleasant. It's celestial. I can't get enough of it. Hendrix must feel my close proximity somehow with her dull, human senses. Her dark brown eyes flutter when they notice me. Research purposes. She nods fervently in response to my whispered question, her curly hair bouncing him. Well, I suppose I'll have to lend it to you now. Can't let my student go around without the proper supplies. What kind of educator would I be? I stare at her lips, and I can't stop licking my own. Hers are so plump, pink, perfect. I want to feel them against mine. Taste her mouth. Would they be as soft as they look? Appealing as they smell? I'm near enough to taste her breath. It would be so easy to just lean forward those few inches and end this strain of desire that I barely have restrained. I know she wants this too. Maybe even almost as much as I do. But I doubt that. Hendrix's heart is pounding quickly in her delicate rib cage, her breathing rushing in and out frantically, just waiting for me to take my chance. I want her more than anything. I retract myself, sliding backwards reluctantly. The temptation to kiss her is still strong, but I have more sense now. We will kiss. Damn it. Eventually we will kiss. It'll be the best kiss of my life. But it won't be here. It will have to wait. It'll have to wait. I can't explain it, but I know now is not the right moment. You'll get that book. 15-ish. Hendrix B. Ovi, it's late. Dark. 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐻𝐿 Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Why is it so cold here? More importantly, why did I agree to move here? It's actually 45 Fahrenheit today. That's ridiculous. So I'm bundled up in my bed. the background music of my record player floating around my ideal with a slight pain in my head. I'm still trying to cope with everything that's changed in my life. School, and now a crush. Two things that take up my thoughts, one more so than the other. Cedric. Why can't I stop thinking about him? It's been so bad that I've had to cut back my hours at the diner. So instead of slightly struggling with money, I'm almost broke, barely getting by. Paying for school, rent, and food is getting harder and harder. It wasn't any easier when my mama and I were both working jobs when I was in high school. Our expenses were tough, especially with her hospital bills. But I have to focus on school. I'm paying hard-earned money for an education. The plan is to move back to Mississippi and get a good-paying job, and then earn enough money to hire a private investigator to track down my daddy. Call me persistent, because I can't find the man to save my life. I've tried Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐩𝐭𝐢𝐨𝐧, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. But I can't find him. No bowstring-fellow that happens to be my father. No amount of Googling can make him turn up. One day, when I have the money, I'll find him. That's what I've always wanted to do. I still don't know what I'll do when I find him. Now I'm thinking about my mom. My poor mama. She turned to the wrong things to comfort her when Daddy left. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐻𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Drugs. Cigarettes. I tried to avoid supporting her habits, knowing that it was destroying her from the inside out. But it was impossible. She still went ahead with it, not listening to my begging and pleading. All she had to do was push me out of the way. And now she's paying the price. She has lung cancer. Stage 4. She was diagnosed when I was just a junior in high school. Her lifestyle caught up with her too quickly. The hospital bills are outrageous. The debt too much. I'm still sending money home even now. But the thing is, my mama won't even tell me how bad it really is. I know she doesn't want me to worry, but worry is all I do when it comes to her. The thoughts surrounding her become too much to take. They scream and thresh until I grip my phone tightly in my hand. I reach for the speakers, turning the volume down until the music is practically non-existent. Opening my phone with a click, I dial on the annoyingly small buttons until I find her name in my contact list. I stare at the old phone while I chew on my bottom lip. Pressing dial, I fall back onto my pile of pillows with a sigh, squeezing my eyes shut and rubbing at my forehead. 𝐿𝐲𝐬, how's my favorite girl? Mama's sweet southern voice drawls, raspy from the years of chain smoking. I try to smile, even if she can't see me. Hey mama, thought I'd call and check in on you. I tell her, and she laughs. I can imagine her on the front porch with a cigarette dangling between her fingers, waving her hand in dismissal of the attention. Oh, bless your heart. You always were the sweetest thing. I'm doing just fine. Nothing has changed over here. I want to hear how you're doing all the way up there. She muses, and I almost groan. She's always dodging questions. I indulge her this time. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐻𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Mama, I'm freezing. I think my fingers might fall right off. And it's true. My digits are practically blue when I step outside. Once my mother stops laughing, she sighs, catching her breath as she's overwhelmed by a coughing fit. I'm always blaming myself for not taking better care of her. I should have burned every box of cigarettes I found in her possession. Maybe I could have prevented this. Maybe she wouldn't be sick if I took a stand. You know why I stay here then. Just you wait till it's snowing up there. Your fix ain't be begging to come home. I know she's one right on that one. I've never seen snow. At least not in person. We don't get snow in Mississippi. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐻𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I run my hand through my hair, scoffing. Mama, I'm tough. I don't know what you're talking about. You don't think I can get through a few winters? Nope. But I sure do hope you get used to it though. Darling, power through it. I want you staying out there. It's good for you. She stops to let out a cough or two before continuing. I'm so proud of you. I huff. Knowing this was coming, she praises me to deflect her deteriorating health. Mama thinks she's being sneaky, but I'm on to her like a bloodhound. Mama, how are you feeling? Is it getting any better? Pressing her for answers. Anything shall give worth it, even if it upsets her like it always does. She groans, sighing in bitter annoyance. 𝐿𝐸𝐲𝐬, you know I don't like talking about that now. Why won't you just leave your poor old mama alone? Can't I talk to my own daughter without bringing up my sob story? I enter some charity case. Sugar, leave me be, she rants, and I shake my head. I knew this would happen. I just hope it's not because she's getting worse. Hopefully she's receiving some good news. I want to ask her what the doctors have been saying, but I don't want to rile her up even more. My mother is a firecracker, and she's not afraid to show it. To my 𝐊𝐸𝐳𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐬 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm just worried about you. That's all. I tell her, sounding remorseful and defensive all at once. She knows I care about her. She just doesn't want to admit it. I know she's guilty about putting me through all this. It's hard enough to lose one parent. Hendrix. I'm fine. Drop it. Her harsh tone has me tearing up. I hate this. I hate this disease taking control of her life and her refusal to admit it's difficult for her. She won't stop work. Won't take any time off. It's hard enough getting her to accept my money. She's independent and stubborn. To my 𝐊𝐸𝐳𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐬 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I whisper, a little hurt at her stern voice. Insensitive. What can I say? I have to go. I need to be getting myself ready for work. She sighs, pausing for a moment as her excuse settles. I love you, Hendrix. I love you too, Mama. With that, the short conversation is over and I'm left feeling empty. I stare down at the phone in my hand. I'm tempted to call her back and tell her off. But of course I don't. I won't. I can't speak to my mother that way. I've been taught better. But she deserves a good talking to. Someone needs to stick up to her. I just wish it could be me. I let a few tears slip down my face before I pull myself together, flipping my stereo off. I put the vinyl away among the dense collection on my shelf. It's hard for me to stare at a hoard of records. If I look too long, it reminds me of the man who collected them. Slamming the door to my room, I wander into the den slowly. I can hear my friends talking in the kitchen around the corner. And I almost up. Yes, scary. 𝐸𝐸 never felt that kind of power before. A whispered voice says, and there's a pause as I enter the kitchen with a perplexed at my best friends. Two pairs of eyes widen at me. Which one? Stacy demands. And Miranda comes towards me with a worried expression. I shrug, pretending I'm fine. I hate worrying them, and still intrigued about what they were saying before they saw me. Nothing. What were you talking about? And they narrow their eyes on me as if I've done something wrong. Are they keeping secrets from me? That's not like them. We know everything about each other. This isn't right. Something is up. I just don't know what. Why were you crying? Henny. Miranda presses, avoiding my question. My mom. I talk to my mama. To my 𝐊𝐸𝐳𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐬 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She's not doing great and she's still in denial. I tell them, rubbing a hand down my face. I get exactly what I expected when I relay the bad news. Glances of pity and sorrow. A gentle hand curls around my shoulder, and I look up at Miranda through my tear-filled eyes. My eavesdropping forgotten, I lean into her as she pulls me in for a hug. The warmth from her body seeps into me and I try to forget everything. Forget my pain. Forget my hopeless crush. Forget it all and focus on the present. She pulls back. and despite my LAS height, I spot Stacy on her tiptoes over her shoulder. "Let's make brownies," she declares with a finger in the air. Brownies make everything better. We all laugh and get to baking. It's definitely the escape that I needed. 16 rookie maneuvers. Hendrix BOV stare begrudgingly at the sea of produce lying before me. Why is it so hard to choose what to buy? I budget my heart out as I examine everything, trying to scour my brain for what I need versus what I want. Grocery shopping is hard. It's harder when I have someone with me who is trying to force me to choose wrong. "Come on, just one sweet thing. You gotta treat yourself," Dylan urges, grabbing a box packed with tempting Twinkies and shoving them right in my face. "There's a special going on right now. Write that down in your coupon book." I shove my little coupon book back into my purse with a frown. I try not to groan. I'm so tired of people teasing me for owning a coupon book. It's not my fault that I'm scraping by, and that food W racks up quickly. I'm pretty good at budgeting. It doesn't help that grocery stores here are astronomically more expensive. I miss my local Piggly Wiggly. I used to drive there after school, but that was back when I had a car. I sold it as soon as Mama started her treatment. We have to stay on track. To my agent 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐬𝐩𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I agree to let you tag along, but you need to behave yourself. I reprimand in a teasing tone as I toss a bag of off-brand carrots into the cart and continue down the aisle. Dylan snorts a very obnoxious laugh, rolling his eyes. "Yeah, I gave you a ride here, so really you're either one tagging along, crazy coupon lady." And I shoot him an infuriated look. I am not crazy, I insist, and my friend shakes his head. That's what all the drummers say. We walk around the store in silence for a while, the basic radio music blaring around us as shoppers of every shape and size fill the aisles around us. Some are in a hurry while others 𝐿𝐸 along their way. I take comfort in the fact that everyone seems to be different in their own sort of way, like the fact that some people use coupons, and some don't. Dylan groans when I take a little too long picking out which apples I'm going to buy. I grin as I sort through the piles of shiny red fruit. Maybe I'm drawing this out a little bit, and gaining too much pleasure out of it too. It's fun to tease him. I realize a few seconds later that he's not complaining about me taking too long, that it's for a whole other reason. Damn, I hate seeing teachers in public. It's not right. Dylan grumbles low, and my whole body prickles at his words. It can't be. Could it? I freeze before turning my head up, and scan the store with anxious, hungry eyes. It's Cedric. He stands there silently, looking at a display through a pair of dark, shaded sunglasses. 𝐊𝐢𝐳 so tall that he draws everybody's attention like a magnet. 𝐊𝐢𝐳 enormous. 𝐊𝐢𝐳 handsome. Even when 𝐊𝐢𝐳 minding his own business, people still stop and stare. 𝐊𝐢𝐳 just grocery shopping for heaven's sake. I have to admit, he does look perfect doing it. That leather jacket will never get old. Once I've snapped out of my daze, I glance back down at what I was doing in the first place. My cheeks are already red with heat. He'll probably see me. I just got back from band practice, and my hair is a rat's nest. Not to mention I smell like Bo. Not a great look for me. What? You expect them not to have a life outside of school? They're people too. You know? I inform, dealing with a hint of condescension. He shrugs nonchalantly, waving a hand at me. No, they're teachers. They're supposed to do boring shit, like read the paper and grade essays. Drink tea. I put down the apple that I'm holding, so they don't shop for groceries. What? They don't eat? I ask him, raising my eyebrows in mock suspicion. I don't want to say anything, but Dylan's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He contemplates this for a second, and then he shrugs his shoulders. I guess I haven't really thought about it before. He shifts his weight from one foot to the other. Look, all I'm saying is that I don't like seeing them outside of school. It gives me PTSD. I shake my head again. I doubt he even knows what PTSD stands for, or how serious it is. I would recommend him, but I doubt he'll take anything I say seriously. I grabbed my coupon book to see what all I have, when suddenly interrupted. Hendrix. Once I hear it, I know 𝐻𝐸 finally spotted me. I predicted this would happen. Hey, Professor 𝐊𝐲. As if I hadn't known he was here in the first place. Even though I can't see his eyes. He gives me a quizzical look, as if asking me why I'm not calling him by his name. Then he sees Dylan. Cedric doesn't look happy, and neither does Dylan. You two know each other? Dylan wonders, sounding absolutely perplexed. I nod, trying to contain another blush before it happens. I can feel Cedric's eyes boring into me like two lasers. Yeah, 𝐻𝐸 been giving me some tutoring. You know, for the paper. I remind him, gripping my binder full of coupons to my chest for some security. Oh, that's right. You should help me out with what he teaches you. I have no clue what I'm doing. Dylan laughs nervously, and I watch Cedric's jaw work, a muscle in the right side ticking. Yeah, 𝐻𝐸's definitely not happy. All three of us are quiet for a moment, and it's getting a little awkward. Dylan takes a few steps backward, Cedric's enormous frame crowding him. The both of us have to crane our necks to look at his face. I, on the other hand, take a step closer to him almost subconsciously. I just feel right around him. Safe. I never feel totally safe or secure until he comes around. Now 𝐻𝐸's here, and I couldn't be happier. Although Dylan's presence throws a kink in things. Hey Dylan, I'll catch up with you later. Not keeping my eyes off of my professor, I hear Dylan scoff behind me. And in your ride home, remember, he reminds me, and I sigh. I completely forgot that I'm dependent on others to get places. Car insurance and gas bills are too much for me to handle, so I rely on people's kindness. Maybe I can take a bus. It'll be all right. I reassure him, but I sound crazy to even myself. Public transportation after dark. That's risky. Staring up at Cedric. I know I'll end up taking my chances to spend time with him. I'm all sorts of crazy when it comes to home now. The gruff word makes me falter. Cedric shakes his head. In taking you home. His insistent tone leaves no room for argument. But Dylan appears like he wants to argue more than anything. He narrows his eyes at Cedric, his arms crossed over his chest. I've always thought Dylan was athletic, and in his own relative way, he is, compared to Cedric. 𝐻𝐸's puny. His muscled frame looks like a popsicle stick compared to Professor 𝐊𝐲. Okay now. Dylan and I say the words at precisely the same time. He shoots me a glare that I quickly laugh off. Why is acting this way? I can tell 𝐻𝐸's tense, uncomfortable, even agitated. But somehow, I don't actually feel bad about leaving him behind to run off with Professor 𝐊𝐲. Dylan storms out of the place, fists at his side. He doesn't give an explanation, doesn't say goodbye or even wave. 𝐻𝐸's acting so strange. I want to go after him, see if 𝐻𝐸's okay, maybe even apologize. Before I can make a move to leave, someone steps in front of me, and I run into a chest made of steel. Wow, Cedric really is like a brick wall. Leave him. He wants to act like a toddler. Then let him, Cedric explains. I quirk my lips in thought before looking at my groceries. There's a few more things I need to get. But all I want to do is talk with my Cedric. Am I an idiot? Maybe 𝐻𝐸's just being nice. He wants to make sure I get home safe. Is he only humoring me when I throw myself at him? What if this whole time I'm imagining his interest in me, and I'm just annoying him endlessly? He probably cringed when he saw me here. I'm glad I ran into you. You've been on my mind. I can't help the little gasp I let out when I almost trip over my shopping cart. I glance up at Cedric as I push the thing closer to the checkout lane. What do you mean? I try to sound coy, and I hope it came off that way. Hands in his pockets as usual. I hate those stupid sunglasses he wears. They're so sexy, but they block his full expression from me. I want to see his eyes. I feel like I know him when I see his eyes. Exactly that. I've been thinking about you. More than I should, he admits, and I gulp. The smell of fresh chicken in the grocery store making me suddenly ill. How are you liking that book? I make a gruff sound when Cedric starts loading my stuff onto the conveyor belt of expensive food. The checkout lanes aren't crowded, so it'll go quick. That's just it though. Every word I read his precious book proves him right. He can make a reader out of me. I never thought it was possible, but here I am. The Count of Monte Cristo is a bit dramatic, don't you think? Trying to keep myself in check. Why can't I stop staring at his arms? Examining a bag of peaches that he pulls out of my cart. Yes, maybe. It was extraordinary for the time. Such adventure from someone so ordinary. It gave people hope to escape their monotony. I nod along to what he explains, hoping to somehow relate to it. But I can't. The skinny cashier eyes Cedric with frightful eyes, pushing his rounded glasses up his pimple-covered nose, and hurriedly scanning the groceries. But how is it your favorite book of all time? What? You don't like it? He sounds incredulous. He can't believe that I wouldn't like it. Of course I like it. It's phenomenal. But I don't get how you of all people can relate to a story like that. Sailing the ocean and unrightful imprisonment. Revenge and violence. It doesn't seem like your type of thing. Digging through my wallet for my debit card, I realize Cedric is frozen. What? A little panicked. What did I say? I place a concerned hand on his arm, like him trying to thaw him. His limb is granite under my touch. I think 𝐊𝐢𝐳 ready to take your money now. He informs me, and I spin around to the waiting cashier. He doesn't seem amused. In quick with the stack of coupons, ready to hand them over when the kid huffs a sigh of clear irritation. I already totaled your order. I can't scan all of those, he says in a harsh voice, and I bite my lip to keep it from trembling. I hate it when people are mean to me. I can't stand up for myself, because all I want to do is cry. I slowly lower my hand full of money-saving paper, feeling dejected. Okay, I whisper, but 𝐊𝐲 still glaring at me. I'm about to hand my card over when a growling sound interrupts me. Cedric grabs my wrist, and I notice 𝐊𝐲 vibrating. Growling, like a dog. The boy is terrified when my protector leans in. You scan her coupons. You little shit. If it's the last thing you do. And I can't hear anything else over the ringing in my ears and the sputtering of the rude boy. I'm still shaking. On instinct, I grab Cedric's forearm and scamper behind him. Cedric takes a deep breath, gently opening his hand. I stare at his callus-covered palm. Slowly, cautiously, I give him my coupons as if they're made of gold. He practically throws them at the guy. The pathetic kid scrambles with them, trying to ring them up as quickly as possible. Thank you, I whisper, still a bit shaken up. His warm hand cups the back of my neck. Did do anything for you? I'm not sure if I imagined that last part or not, but I quickly pay for my groceries and leave. Cedric insists on carrying the 2 bags of food. 𝐊𝐲's always a gentleman. I think the best of him until he walks up to a vintage motorcycle the size of Texas. What is this? Like I've never seen a motorcycle in my life. He gives me an amused look, tucking my groceries safely in the leather bags at the back. My bike, he replies simply, gesturing to it with his arm. I stare at the vehicle in question for a long time like it will make me understand it somehow. Does he really expect me to ride on this thing? He notices my hesitation, my open fear. I can't help the terror coursing through me. Cedric takes my elbow in his hand, bending his head down to me. It's all right. I'll hold on to you the whole time. I'll keep you safe. He assures me in the most kind voice I've ever heard. Nothing on this planet calms me the way he does. There's almost something supernatural about it. I can't figure out what it is, but I don't want to question it. I'm afraid that if I dig too deep it'll just disappear. 𝐊𝐲𝐸𝐾𝐜 𝐬𝐻𝐸. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I try the word out in my mouth, my heart racing as I near the death machine. I try to climb on, but it seems like an impossible feat. I look like an idiot trying to impress him. Cedric has the audacity to laugh at me before he climbs onto the bike and reaches his arms out. Shouldn't I ride on the back? I wonder, and he shakes his head. No, I want you in front. It's safer that way, he explains. Speaking of safety, the man pulls out a huge black motorcycle helmet and holds it out to me. I cautiously take it. Well, I can say it'll make me feel better. I just hope 𝐊𝐲𝐬𝐻 good at driving this thing. Maybe some reassurance will give me peace of mind. I inspect the helmet and strap it on. The thing is a little loose around my head, but it's better than nothing. How long have you been riding motorcycles? Do you know what you're doing? Even I can hear the desperation in my voice. I hope I don't offend him. Even though I can't see his eyes, I can imagine him rolling them. A long time. Believe me. Now come here. Cedric's soft command is somehow alluring to me. I shuffle over to him and he carefully lifts me onto the seat like I'm as light as a feather. Alarm shoots through me when he starts the motorcycle. It roars awake with so much power that I try to get off, but a strong arm wraps around me, pinning me to a warm chest. It's all right. Don't you trust me? His lips next to my ear. I try to swallow my fear and nod my head, but I'm finding it hard to do. So many terrifying scenarios run rampant in my head. Images of fiery wrecks and splattered bodies torment me. It's just that. My sentence tapers off. Well, what? Cedric presses. It's just that my life is literally in your hands. I tell him, gripping my jacket closer to my chest. He doesn't ult some time. He shifts the weight on the bike to the right, and I hear him kick off as we whiz out of the parking lot. As we ride away, I swear I hear him mumble under his breath, "Your life is always in my hands." I brush it off as a trick of the wind.